What's up? Welcome, everyone. It's been a hot minute. Actually, it's only been a couple weeks, but it feels like it's been longer than it has.
It's been longer than 2 weeks, though, right?
It feels like
we're off our normal rhythm,
we're
right?
off our normal rhythm.
I mean, do we have a normal rhythm at this point?
It's supposed to be every other week, but sometimes it doesn't work out that way.
Life has a way of getting in the way.
Welcome in, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Hang on, this is gonna bother me. Did you notice this is done? Did you notice? It's so cool. I feel like I'm in the cube, which might not be the best thing to throw out there.
I was going to say cube. You know that reference.
It was the first thing I thought of. It was cool in my mind. Let's see. Comments.
We have
Tim from Storming Thrills, who I guess is going to throw in his top 10 as we go through our top 10.
You have been to parks we have not.
You have been, I think at this point, Tim from Storming Thrills has been to more parks than we have.
Yeah, so definitely going to be some different things.
Welcome.
Blair.
First and only good YouTube.
Neither of those things.
I'm going to have to call your bluff on both of those things, but we appreciate the compliment.
And Coaster Mom.
Coaster Mom.
Definitely a good live stream for Coaster Mom.
Yes.
Absolutely.
If the name doesn't give it away, Coaster Mom has been on a few coasters herself. Thanks, Tim. I appreciate it. We worked hard on it. Also,
we worked hard on it.
2 tickets. Chad and Vanessa are in. You guys are about to hate us. Hate us.
Well, I don't think they're going to hate us. They've just been to. I know they've ridden some of the most amazing coasters in the world.
That's true.
Because that's what happens when you travel.
Does it feel a little bit dark? I'm gonna boost this.
I look a little bit.
I feel like you look a little dark.
Yeah.
Sorry, is that too bright now? No, I feel like that's okay.
I think that's okay.
We're just
sorry if the ring light is reflecting in the eyes. I did not have time to put in comments today.
Oh, it's true. It's your problem this week instead of my problem.
I did not give myself time.
This, if you haven't noticed, is our first live stream since doing any of this new setup, and we tested, and yet still I'm finding little things that I'm trying to fix as we go. So I apologize in advance, but having been to Cedar Point, Canoles, Carowinds, SeaWorld, Busch Gardens, Tampa, Hershey, obviously Six Flags Great Adventure, Fun Spot Kissimmee, there are 2 on that list that we have never been to.
Yes.
And presumably a lot more.
Well, no, Cedar Point.
Yeah, I was counting Cedar Point. Cedar Point and Fun Spot Kissimmee.
Oh, okay.
We've been near Fun Spot Kissimmee.
Yeah.
Kissimmee. Is it Kissimmee or Kissimmee? I always say Kissimmee because it sounds fun
I'm pretty sure it's Kissimmee because it's not the Kissimmee.
Kissimmee. Yeah. Busch Gardens hoodie.
I love this hoodie. It was cold on my birthday in June emergency hoodie.
And it wound up working out.
It's one of my favorites. I think I like the distressed look. It's comfy. It's cozy.
I could sit here chatting about the studio and
whoever said, was it 2 tickets? It's inside Spaceship Earth. That's what I always think when I see it behind me. I was like, it looks like the
refurb at Epcot is done. This is it. We did it. And we did it faster than Disney. Okay. Let's dive in because I know we have a lot to say before we even get to the stuff we really want to say.
There'll be some
there's
debate.
There's going to be some debate. This is going to be.
We do know what each other's top 10 list is. We're not
this is not a surprise to us, but it might well be a surprise to you all. I don't know. Some of you know us pretty well. Others of you might be taken aback.
It's all subjective.
So first and foremost, our socials are The Real Tim and Katie on Instagram and Threads, Tim and Katie on Facebook, and timandkt.net, the website. If you've been on our live stream before, you know the drill. We're behind on our website. We're always going to be. It's kind of just a last-minute thing that we often forget about until these live streams come around and we're like, oops. But we are working on getting caught up. We do have, to kick things off tonight, a lot of theme park news to talk about, and we are going to do our best.
We should
not to spend half an hour or 45
and
minutes.
When we get to 20 minutes, we need to wrap it up.
Someone needs to rep this because we have a tendency to talk forever about nothing. So if someone would be so kind as to chime in and be like, "Hey, it's been 30 minutes and we're not on to the subject of the live."
20 minutes.
I feel like 20 might be a little bit
But
conservative.
20 minutes is like the warning. Like, hey,
okay.
wrap it up.
20-minute timer started.
Knew I could count on you, Chad.
Yes. All right.
I'm sure that's Chad.
Be good. All right. So we had a lot of theme park news over the past week. Something that we were talking about right before this, and I'll tell you right now, it's not part of the actual lineup of news we have, was the Isle of Berk. I felt like that had been pretty well covered by pretty much everyone else, but I will throw out there that the Isle of Berk that they just unveiled at Universal Epic Universe, it is my most anticipated land by far. I don't have any pictures of it, but if you do an Isle of Berk search right now, it is literally all you will get is all the concept art and whatnot they released. It looks incredible. And anyone at this point who has not seen How to Train Your Dragon and is having to blow through it at record speed because they want to know and appreciate the land, shame on you. It is literally...
But also do it.
Yes, you should do it. But it is literally my favorite movie of all time. Literally.
It was nice to actually confirm that the show that was at their Shanghai park is coming, or a variant of the show with a big, giant, toothless puppet animatronic.
We were pretty sure that was going to happen, but it was exciting to be.
It's easy to see coasters being built and flyers being built when a drone flies over the area, but harder to confirm that a show is coming when all you see is the building. So that was really exciting.
We were pretty sure that was going to be a show building.
It would be an absolute miss.
I will say, although I had absolute confidence in Universal to do a really good job with the theming around the coaster, it looked so much better than I thought it was going to, because it looked like the coaster was just going to be like a family coaster that did a little loop around. It's got seams, guys. It's going to be like miniature Hagrid is what it seems like.
I think that's giving me that. Yeah.
So super, super excited. Again, I don't want to spend too long on that. I absolutely could talk about just that all night. But we got a lot of other stuff to talk about. We got a lot of other stuff to talk about.
More Epic Universe
There's
stuff.
Plenty of Epic to fill a live stream without us ever having said foot in Epic. So first, I want to talk about Disney news. As you know, we can be a little bit critical of Disney on some of these live streams, but I will say for the past like 2-3 years of Disney kind of dropping the ball, to be quite honest, they've released a lot of news in the last couple of months, I would say, that is getting us pretty excited about Disney again. So this is, if you can't tell, I know our thing covers up the little subtitle, but this is the planned expansion for Disneyland in California. This is called the Disneyland Forward Project. If you've never heard of this, if you're not a Disney person, but maybe you've been to Disney or Disney World, or maybe you've just kind of like loosely been aware of the fact that Disneyland exists, this is going to be your call to go. So they are expanding Disneyland into what is essentially, they're tearing down parking garages and they're building over some backstage areas and reshaping the land around Disneyland's property in Anaheim to basically expand into a whole new theme park. It's not officially going to be, I don't think. It could easily be if they wanted it to be. But as of now, they're thinking it will connect between Disneyland and DCA through this little, well, you can't really tell because I can't really do a mouse cursor on this live stream app, but it's got a little portal between the Ferris wheel, the Mickey's Death Wheel, as we call it, and the area of the land that would be presumably a newer expansion. So the only thing we know for sure about this land right now is that they have confirmed there's going to be an Avatar expansion. And what this means, I thought it was going to mean, and I think everyone else did too, that we were going to copy and paste Pandora: The World of Avatar from Disney's Animal Kingdom in Florida over to Disneyland. It turns out that is not the case, and I am honestly, this is probably going to be my first surprise of the evening. I'm honestly kind of excited about this because I don't like the Avatar. I don't even really tolerate the Avatar movies. I don't think they're very good. That's controversial in and of itself. Feel free to come at me. I have defenses for all my positions on this. But I do really, really, really like the world of Avatar, the Pandora land at Disney's Animal Kingdom. I think it's fun to look at. It's got like all kinds of luminescent stuff painted on the ground, and the flowers and whatnot comes to life at night. It's also just an all-around cool land with lots of waterfalls. I'm a sucker for water features and whatnot. So I really enjoy being in that land. Now, I would be disappointed, as I think a lot of hardcore Disney people would be, although a lot of hardcore Disney people also would probably think it was fine, if they did what they did with Galaxy's Edge and just copy and paste. One coast is left aligned, the other coast is right aligned, everything else is the same other than that.
Yeah.
But that's not what they're doing. From this concept art, it looks like there are similarities, obviously, between our Pandora and the proposed Pandora expansion at Disneyland. But this is a very different look. And this is, some have discussed it as being relating directly to the second Avatar movie, which I honestly haven't seen,
Probably
The Way of Water. But I've heard tell that it's actually going to be a kind of like not directly adjacent to either movie. It's going to exist in the same universe and tell its own original story. So it's going to have elements of the
more like, I guess, Galaxy's Edge, in that it's not really copying from a movie. It's more just kind of creating its own thing.
But not identical to what we already have.
Which I agree. Like it's cool to have. It's fine to like take the same stories or IPs or whatever and make a new world. But when we're copying and pasting, it seems very lazy, and it kind of decentivizes people exploring one park versus another. Oh, we have Galaxy's Edge at home. Why would we go to Disneyland or whatever?
Exactly. And there's a lot of talk every time something new is announced for Disneyland, every single time. There's a string of comments on Disney World's Facebook page saying, why can't we have this at Disney World? And the answer should be because Disney wants you to travel and experience and explore other parks. Because otherwise, why would you do that? There are cloned attractions, of course. There's stuff that is the same on the West Coast and the East Coast. And because of that, when we're on the West Coast, where we actually, it's no secret that we prefer Disneyland to Disney World. When we're on the West Coast, we tend to prioritize the things that are unique and different about Disneyland over the things that we can do on the East Coast.
Or just uniquely better.
Well, that's what I was going to say, is that it's not like they're one-for-one copies when you go between the Magic Kingdom and Disneyland. They're very similar, and they're the same theming and whatnot, but Disneyland does have a way of doing things a little bit better. Yeah. So I like that this is going to be different. I'm not saying I wouldn't have done it if it had been exactly identical, but I wouldn't have spent a whole lot of time here knowing that there was stuff that I could do more time to fill in Pandora in Walt Disney World, I think, than there will be space to fill with Disneyland's expansion. This being what it is, though, and Chad and Vanessa pointed this out, this is rumored to be the same style boat ride as the Pirates at Shanghai Disneyland. This is that ride, if you're unfamiliar with that ride in Shanghai, is not the Pirates of the Caribbean you're used to in Florida or California.
It's very different.
It's very, very different. Is it Mach or Mac? I think it's Mach. It's a Mach ride, Mach ride original invention that was patented and sold to Disney, and it basically gives the boat the ability to like twist and buckle.
Much more dynamic.
It seems like you're actually at sea and you're being pushed around by elements. It's not like a linear flow like of the track at Small World. It's very, very different. So we don't know how intense or non-intense this ride is going to be, but we know it is going to be much more of a story ride than I would say Na'vi River Journey is.
Yeah.
So
next one. We got stuff.
Very, very cool. Locally, for us on the East Coast, Disney has also announced a couple of updates. The first, and this isn't probably the best picture, but it's because we don't have a better one yet, is that Communicore Hall, which is going to be the new meeting place for a lot of Disney characters at Epcot, is about to open. They officially open the doors on June 10th. There's going to be other stuff in this area as well. It's going to be kind of an event venue. So a lot of the concerts that right now are taking place on the World Showcase stages are being shifted to this area as soon as it opens, or are intended to be. We don't know what it's going to look like. We've never seen the interior. So we're all kind of like on the edge of our seats in the sense that like we don't know what's going to be behind the curtain when it opens, but also we have a feeling it's going to be more than just a stage and a place for Mickey to meet people. It's Disney. It's probably going to be something kind of cool. So we're excited to see that.
Hopefully.
With that announcement that it comes open or becomes available to the public on June 10th, I have some devastating news for anyone out there like me, who I realize are few and far between. Test Track will be closing for an extended refurb on June 17th, which is a literal week after Communicore Hall opens. And they planned that, of course, and I had heard rumors that that was going to happen. They did announce in September at D23, the D23 Expo, that Test Track was going to be getting a refurb. They didn't give a timeline for the refurb. They didn't tell anyone that it was going down this date. And we all kind of had to hope that it was going to be sooner if you really, really wanted this refurb to happen, and a lot of people do. Or later if you're like me and you wanted to get one last ride in. Unfortunately, we are not going to be back to Disney to experience Test Track as it currently is one last time. Yeah. A lot of people refer to it as Tron Track now, because it is basically the spiritual parent of Tron.
I was gonna say, like, just not that Test Track came before Tron the movies, but it certainly came before the first iteration of the Tron ride. Anyway.
I think that this, I mean, given the concept art, I am a little bit optimistic that they're going to keep in place some of the things that I really like about the newer version and not go all the way back to the early 2000s era where we had the crash test dummies. I know a lot of people would be thrilled with that. It was not my favorite ride, and then suddenly became my favorite ride after the refurb. So I don't know what's wrong with me, but I am optimistic that the ride will still be one of my favorites at Epcot when it's done. I'm just crossing my fingers that they don't pull the musical score.
It's not going to change. Yeah, the musical score very well might change, but I don't think it's going to be.
Crossing my fingers.
I think it's still going to be fun and fast, and
I'm sure it'll still be fun and fast.
I do think that they should just drop virtual queues for Guardians, especially while Test Track is down, and just let people get in line for that ride. But that hasn't been announced either. Anyway, next one. Now it's my turn to talk.
Okay, you can take this one.
I won't talk for long.
Promises.
Unless you live under a rock, you probably know that we have there's like a new YouTube channel run by Disney Imagineers called, we call it Imagineering, I think. And
it's a series.
Yeah,
they've always had the YouTube
channel. The first video revealed a lot of more details about what's coming for Tiana's Bayou Adventure, which is opening
both coasts.
On both coasts, yes. The Splash Mountain
Disney World in Florida will get it first.
But these animatronics that we had already seen what we had already seen what Tiana was going to look like in some of her, but I was really excited to see some of these other animatronics. They've literally been described as like animation come off the page. It's so cool to see how sophisticated and fluid these animatronics are. I mean, we've seen it with, the Navi Shaman and Navi River Journey. These, you look like you could give these guys a hug. They're just that flexible, that smooth. Mama Odie literally looks like she came out of the movie. And she's got Juju, who loves the pancakes with her. It definitely got me more hyped for the ride, and we're also getting more and more information about kind of the story, and about what songs will probably from the movie that will be in the ride, and what's going to be kind of like new songs. So that's kind of nice. It'll have some new stuff and some recognizable songs from the ride. I was still kind of holding out hope that we'd hear the Friends on the Other Side song.
I still think that's going to happen.
But
they haven't directly said that's not going to happen. And I can think of literally nothing better for that climb up to the final as dum 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 dum. Are you ready?
I do know that that Randy Newman did write the new songs as well, so it's the same composer. So who knows? Maybe he'll throw in that little.
It would be a colossal waste if it doesn't happen.
Musical montage. Next,
Animal Kingdom. Sticking with Disney World for the time being.
We have got to be close to 20 minutes by now.
We're getting there, but we're not there yet. Stop running the timer down on commentary. In Animal Kingdom, again, this is one of those updates that I think a lot of people have heard about and a lot of people have not heard about. So this is the South American expansion at Animal Kingdom, which was presented at D23 Expo in September as a blue sky concept, something that could possibly happen. Understand that this was presented after 2 years in a row of nothing but blue sky concepts, where everyone is like, is this happening? And they're like, maybe, and then they scrap half those plans. Well, this one is actually moving forward. It has been all but confirmed that these specific attractions pictured here in this concept art, which even at the time it was presented as blue sky, were far more advanced in terms of graphics and like scales and maps and whatnot. What was I saying?
No, I was looking at the comments.
I was looking at the comments too.
You're
Sorry.
talking about the Dino Land replacement concept.
The Dino Land, we already knew Dino Land was on its way out, and both of us really like Dino Land, and a lot of people really like Dino Land.
I'm still not over it.
I'm not over it, but I will say they have announced that this is officially moving forward pretty much as shaped here, and this is an Encanto attraction, which we're all expecting to be one of two things, either a walkthrough or a dark ride, a trackless dark ride. Either would be fine with me. And on the other side, Dinosaur is of course the same ride mechanism as the current Indiana Jones adventure at Disneyland. When they announced this was happening, I was furious because same thing as Avatar, I wanted something unique. I love Indiana Jones. Katie loves Indiana Jones.
I love that ride.
But we love that it exists in Disneyland and it's unique to Disneyland, and we like going to Disneyland to experience it. And we didn't want a copy and paste job erasing Dinosaur. Turns out this is going to be a very unique Indiana Jones story. The Imagineers have already put it in writing and in verbiage that this is going to be an adventure that is specific to the
Temple of the Hidden Eye.
Yeah, Forbidden Temple or Forbidden Eye.
Temple of the.
There's too many Indiana Jones.
I don't know. Whatever it's called.
There's already too many. This is just another one. But I will say I am more excited about this area, this expansion, than I previously was. And honestly, when it was pitched as a blue sky concept, I vastly preferred this concept to the original blue sky of Moana and Zootopia for this area. I know a lot of people prefer those IPs, but this fits much better. It was the least
offensive to me, but I'm still very lukewarm on it in general, to be honest. So that was a few minutes ago.
Tim number 2.
I think Vanessa's hiss was.
I'm well aware what Vanessa's hiss was.
Regard to the dinosaur.
that's why I lost my train of thought. Yes, they do have currently an Encanto photo op at the front of the park. So that was introduced for Earth Day and is one of the many different Earth Day concepts and attractions that they added, because Earth Day, for those of you who don't know, was the original opening date of Animal Kingdom. So it's kind of the birthday every year. They do a mini celebration, but that is definitely a nod towards what is coming and not towards what is currently there. I will say, although things are officially moving into place here, they have gotten permits and patents approved, and they are starting to position construction, what are they called, trailers? I don't see this happening anytime soon. I think you'll still have Dinosaur and Dino Land for at least another 4 to 6 months, at least. I don't see this particular land opening until 2026 or 2027 at the earliest.
I would hope that maybe they could kind of like do it in phases and not like, because Dinosaur just is so far away from all the rest of this. I would think maybe they could keep Dinosaur open for a little bit longer and start working on some of the other things, but maybe that's not possible.
I'm gonna quickly answer this question from Blair because he wants to know if Splash Mountain is fun. So yes, 2 things about Splash Mountain and Disneyland, specifically in California. One, it's closed. So it's currently being renovated and refurbed into something completely new. When it reopens, it will no longer be called Splash Mountain. It will be called Tiana's Bayou Adventure. So you have that to look forward to. That will happen this year. Second of all, it is a lot, if nothing changes about the current mechanism, it will get you a heck of a lot wetter than the Disney World
But it's very fun.
version. It is very fun, but it's
a long ride.
So much wetter. It's definitely more of a
very story-like, and then you go down a big drop and get wet, and it's fun. It was called Splash Mountain for many years for a good reason.
Spooky vibes shot the air. Do you mean, are you just throwing that out there and manifesting it, or are you talking about Indiana Jones? Because it would be kind of spooky. I feel like it might be a manifestation. Allison, please feel free to expand upon that.
Tell me more.
All right, one more piece of information, I think, on the Disney side. So this is, we were just talking about Blue Sky Concepts. This is the Magic Kingdom expansion. As you can see.
Is this the Beyond Big Thunder Mountain?
Beyond Big Thunder Mountain is a little bit rougher around the edges than the previous piece.
Did they make an announcement on this stuff?
They have officially announced as of the shareholders meeting that they will be moving forward with a Magic Kingdom expansion. Now, what does that entail? Which one. They have no idea what they're doing. I'm sure they know, but they're not telling anyone.
We are not going to belay this if we don't even know what it is they're doing.
They officially have begun filing permits and moving things into position for construction. So it's going to be a huge project.
We have no idea what they're doing.
You're not going to turn me off of this. I want to say something.
Fine. I want to talk about coasters.
If everything goes as planned, you're talking about Coco for sure, Villain's Kingdom maybe. I don't know about Encanto. Those were the three that were going to go there.
Kingdom would be spooky vibes throughout
the whole year. That would be spooky vibes throughout the whole year. That could be that.
I think they should go with the villain stuff.
Well, Coco will be in Beyond Big Thunder if it's part of this expansion as originally pitched. Villain's Kingdom was a long time
I just think they're not. I don't think. I mean, are kids actually really scared of villains? I don't know. I was scared. I should take that back. I was definitely scared of Scar, even though I love the Lion King.
We'll see how Villain's Kingdom manifests. I do believe after the opening of Epic and Dark Universe, they will see more of a justification in opening a Villain's Kingdom. I'm pretty confident that this is going to be part of the plan. I'm less confident in Kanto being at this park and at Animal Kingdom, and it's already confirmed to be opening at Animal Kingdom, so I don't think they're going to go with that, but we'll see.
Yeah.
All we have to report on this is that it is going forward. We don't know what it's going to look like, but it is happening. Magic Kingdom is about to take on the largest expansion in Walt Disney World history. We're excited to see you again. We'll be at Field in September. Unfortunately, we will not be back before
season.
But we will be there soon enough. All right, I got two more small pieces, and we're going to transition right over into our actual topic because Vanessa says we're at 20 minutes.
Yes.
Which is our warning, not our cutoff.
Yes, our warning to keep it going faster.
This will be very brief. For those of you who do not know, I was going to say home park, but it's really not at all.
We wish we were closer.
4 hours away from Busch Gardens, Williamsburg, but we go there all the time. So Busch Gardens, Williamsburg in Williamsburg, Virginia, has I think the only remaining, or if not the only remaining, definitely the first of its kind, interlocking loop coaster. It was called the Loch Ness Monster, and it was an aero coaster for decades upon decades. It underwent a massive refurbishment this year where the entire thing was retracked. They announced very recently that they had added some theming elements throughout, that they had potentially added an on-ride soundtrack. If not on the ride itself, it's definitely in the queue. There's some controversy about whether or not, because no one's ridden the ride yet, so we're all guessing to some extent. However, it has been officially announced at long last that this ride will open in its new form on May 10th to the general public. Pass holders, which we are, but unfortunately busy pass holders who can't make this date, will be allowed to ride in advance the previous weekend, starting on Thursday, I believe May 2nd. So if you are a Busch Gardens or a Platinum Pass holder across all the SeaWorld parks, which include Busch Gardens, think about checking this out. Let me know what you think, because I'm pretty excited about it. We will be going to Busch Gardens later this summer, but we will not be going for opening weekend.
No.
The last piece, and this is one that I feel like a lot of people have overlooked, so I'm excited that I get to share it with you for those who do not know. Universal has officially, it was rumored, it was talked about, it was pretty certain to happen, but it has officially now happened that Universal is moving forward with a theme park in the United Kingdom. Now, that doesn't matter to a lot of US people, I'm sure, but it is big news for Universal Destinations and Experiences because they are the first major theme park based in the United States to break ground overseas. Merlin Entertainment does own some of the Legoland parks here, and they do have a booming, but they started in the UK, so they branched out over here. Universal has beaten Disney to expanding into Europe, essentially. Although
That's
Disneyland
not
Paris.
true.
Disneyland Paris.
It's like Euro Disney?
Into the United Kingdom. Is more what I meant to say.
Yes.
So Universal officially, I want to make sure I say this right because anyone who's watching from the UK, I don't want them to come for me. Universal UK has officially made the first steps forward by opening a public survey for the Bedford area. Anyone in that area who is going to be subject to the construction, as well as to the noise, as well as to anything that's going to come from people, commuting to the theme park from all over the world, presumably. Now is your time to speak. And because now is your time to speak, that is a hard confirmation on the fact that Universal is moving forward. So pretty excited about that. We're planning a UK trip for the distant future. It will be exciting to see.
Well, we might make it to the UK before, maybe. I kind of hope we do before this park opens.
Listen, Epic has gone up in like a year and a half. Like an entire theme.
That's not true. It went up.
It feels like that. I know it's not literally a year and a half.
It's been...
You are so profoundly literal.
I am, and I'm fine with it.
The Loch Ness Monster, we touched on a couple things. We don't know everything. The Loch Ness Monster has new theming throughout, new track. Everything is basically being refurbed from scratch.
It should be a lot smoother and last a lot longer.
Premier Rides has come in and done the whole retrack. So it's not a 100% aero coaster anymore, which for me is better.
Okay. They're much more comfortable rides now. Yeah, looking forward to the cave and just that ride getting some love because it does deserve it. Historical ride.
All right, y'all. Stop the clock. We made it through our theme park news.
It took forever.
You are such a baby.
Look,
behold, the face of a baby. Did you see Katie's new hair, everyone?
Oh, you can't even tell.
It's asymmetrical and also it has a little
shorter and it has purple in it, but you can't tell because
really
we have purple lighting.
Because we have purple lighting, but you'll see it in vlogs too.
Yeah, it's more obvious.
26 minutes. Okie dokie. So the live stream tonight is about our top 10 roller coasters ranked. Now, I will qualify this with some considerations that everyone should know. If they're not already aware, you're about to be aware. So please don't come for us halfway through. It's going to be controversial no matter what. First of all, we've never been to Cedar Point, Magic Mountain, or Kings Island, which are three of the biggest theme parks, arguably amusement parks.
Biggest coaster destinations
in the United States.
Yeah.
Magic Mountain on California coast, the Cedar Point and Kings Island, both in Ohio. So there's really no excuse except for the fact that we've prioritized going other places like the Netherlands, which some of those coasters wound up on our list tonight. But just be aware, anyone who's waiting for us to mention Steel Vengeance or Orion or, insert literally anything from Magic Mountain X2, those aren't going to be on our list. We're only ranking the ones we've actually done. And here's the other thing. We thought about theming. Theming is a part of what we have assigned to our ranking and what we've used to rank, but we have not based our entire coaster rankings upon theming or intensity or any one element.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be that they're all going to be like the all-around best, the full package, the complete, and based on that grading scale, like how do they rank up against each other?
We would like in the future to talk specifically about our favorite themed coasters.
Yeah, we're thinking maybe like 2 live streams from now we'll do like a theme coaster list, because it was really, really hard to pare down some of the stuff that we know is maybe not the best coaster, but coasters that we do every single time because they're so well themed. Shrek expansion in the UK.
Oh my gosh.
That would be dope.
That would be so cool.
Get me a swamp.
What are you doing in my swamp?
The last point I want to say, and this is something that should be going without saying, but I'm going to say it anyway. Everything here is subjective. Every coaster enthusiast has a different top 10. A lot of people agree on a lot of things, but we might be a little bit different than everyone else. So there's going to be controversy.
Feel free to share your own top 10.
Tim has already started.
Tim has started. He's got
Superman's Ultimate Flight.
So we have not done that right.
We've not done that right.
So that is not going to be on our list.
You joined. I think John has learned not to join right at the beginning because he knows we're going to talk about nonsense for 30 minutes. Welcome, John. You made it just in time. Into the ranking. All right, so Katie and I have slightly different rankings. There is some overlap. So,
there's overlap in what coasters are on there. The order is completely different,
no, it's
except
not
for at the end.
Haha! Now who's being literal?
No, I'm just saying there's a lot of shared coasters, just different numbers, except at the end. It looks like we kind of came together at the end. Spoiler alert!
I think you pick and choose when you want to be literal and when you want to be a little more flexible.
I think I'm the same.
So, number 10, for Katie, defend yourself. I feel like no one's gonna ask you to defend this one, except for that it's at bottom, like the bottom of the list.
I mean, it's Fury 325 at Carowinds. It's the only. I always want to say it's the only Giga coaster. It's the only Giga coaster I've done that I've enjoyed.
Of two.
The other one is now unnamed Project 305, formerly known as Intimidator 305 in King's Dominion. I did not enjoy that ride. I don't like to feel like I'm going to space on a roller coaster. That's not like actually Space Mountain. Fury 325, one of the reason it made my top 10, I love airtime. I love big, long coasters. I enjoy most of the hypers that I ever gone. So going on a Giga, I was really excited about it.
Whoa!
We were also, I'm not surprised. He's been on a lot of rides.
He has been on a lot of rides.
I enjoy the airtime. The layout is fun. The setting, it is kind of like, not quite middle of nowhere, but you do kind of see some landscape, I suppose, as you're going by. And when we were there at Carowinds, we weren't sure it was going to open. One of those days where
rides on it.
We weren't sure if it was going to happen or not. And then it did open and we did get our two rides on it. And then a couple weeks later, it actually went down because of a big giant crack in it. So
probably us. Might have been us. We did it.
So I enjoyed it. I thought it was really fun. Felt like I was flying. It's not on Tim's top 10. I don't even know if it's in his top 20.
Stole my joy. I was going to ruin everyone's dreams.
Well, anyway.
That's the last time you talk.
That's number 10.
Yes, Fury 325 is not on my top 10, which was going to break a lot of people's hearts. But then Tim from Storming Thrills kind of like bailed me out.
Don't apologize for what your top 10 is. It's your top 10.
Fury is a lot of people's favorite coaster. If not their favorite, it's a lot of people's favorite Giga coaster. And the fact that I certainly enjoyed it more than I enjoyed Intimidator 305. But it doesn't feel like flying or freeing to me the way it does for a lot of people. It just feels like it's too intense. Like it feels like the objective is to make you black out. And that's the case for a lot of
That's how I feel about I-305.
Yeah.
I didn't feel that way.
Yeah. So, spoiler alert, Fury is not in my top 10. But I did enjoy it, just not anywhere near as much as probably the average person did.
Number 10.
My number 10 is
cool
very,
picture.
very different. Yeah, I went looking for cooler pictures.
Yeah.
So this is, you won't be able to tell, but it is Twister from Knoebels, which is a Pennsylvania park in Ellisburg. Now, a lot of people who are watching either now or later will probably say, why Twister and not Phoenix of the two wooden coasters? Spoiler alert, Phoenix is not on either of our lists. I do like Phoenix, I do. But the Phoenix experience is more of a novelty to me. It's more about like you get on that because you expect to be thrown out of your seat.
Scares me.
Phoenix scares Katie a little bit because the harnesses are very loose. And honestly,
it's the only time I ever feel like I really want to
I feel like one day, and this is blasphemy in the coaster community, but realistically, the safety standards are going to increase incrementally to such a place where Phoenix is not going to be allowed to exist in its current form anymore.
I wouldn't mind if there were optional seatbelts. Like if I could put on a seatbelt.
They're not optional if they're on the ride.
I don't want to ruin everyone's fun, but I would like a seatbelt.
I'm fine with Phoenix as it currently stands, but it is as I say, more of a novelty.
Twister, on the other hand.
Twister is fun. It's just fun. It's a double lift hill. It takes you all the way up. It's definitely probably the more intense experience if you're not thinking exclusively about airtime. And it's fast. It's a good wooden coaster that holds up to this day. And it does have that double loop element, or double helix rather, that makes it kind of unique and fun. So I really like Twister. I know Katie kind of likes Twister too.
I like Twister.
May or may not be elsewhere in her list.
Maybe. Maybe.
And it is Tim's favorite from Knoebels.
It's our favorite.
You know what I don't like is Impulse. I don't have anything more to say about that. I just wanted to throw it in there. Number 9! Oh wait, before we move on. Ian said there should be an amusement park based on YouTube. Like Button the Ride. Or Subscribe or Else.
That'd be actually kind of some fun themed rides.
Subscribe or Else is a vertical lift hill.
Yeah.
Like Impulse. Your number 9 is very different from my number 9.
This is Alpengeist at Busch Gardens. It's a B&M invert. It is probably my favorite B&M invert I've ever been on. It does have a little bit of elements of theming with the whole like snow caps and the skis on it. The queue is a little bit themed as well. And I think the layout is wonderful. It's one of the coasters that you can see from Coaster Cove or the lagoon or whatnot. I think it's a heck of a lot of fun. If you enjoy inverts, you definitely would love this one. It did, when I was compiling my list, it did beat out over Great Bear at Hershey Park, which is another one of my favorite B&M inverts. Which is saying something for you too, because you love Great Bear. I love Great Bear. I had to think about what was, I thought, a better ride versus necessarily what my favorite is. It's more scenic. If this were a list of what are my top 10 favorite coasters, it would be a very different list. But this is one of the rides I consider to be the best ones that I've been on. Alpengeist is, I think, the most scenic of all the B&M suspendeds we've been on. It's also, and we've been on Batman, Great Bear. We've not been on all of them. We have been on Afterburn, which is probably the runner-up for me. But it is all around, it's the full package of theming, intensity, fun, speed, inversions. And the scenic route takes you all the way through the valley and Busch Gardens, which is really, really cool. Yeah. Pretty much everything at Busch Gardens is built to be scenic. And also, it's fun to watch, too. It is fun to watch. It's very photogenic. I strong disagree. But I know subjective. Yes. Montu, I didn't feel as great getting off of. I felt, but for some people, feeling out of breath after doing a coaster may be the feeling you want. It was a little bit intense for me, to be honest. I'm just going to throw this out there really quickly. I saw, and maybe this person is or isn't watching, one of the coaster enthusiasts that we follow on Instagram posted that after Skyrush received its harness upgrade, which I genuinely do feel was an upgrade, and definitely the theming is amazing. It's a much better ride experience, in my opinion. They did say that Skyrush was knocked off their number 1 perch because, and I quote, "you no longer feel like you're being torn in half on the way down." So different people like different things. So my number 9, you won't be able to tell what this is if you don't have really good vision. But this is Thunderhead at Dollywood. Believe it or not, this is the only Dollywood attraction on my list. I'm pretty sure on yours too. Mm-hmm. And not because there aren't great rides at Dollywood. We love Mystery Mine. We love, we've not actually been on Big Bear Mountain yet. Yeah. We've been on the original Lightning Rod pre Lift Hill. So we've been on the original coaster lineup before Big Bear Mountain came in. And Thunderhead, in our opinion, both of our opinion, was the best ride in the park. We're not huge on Woodies, but as you can tell, there's already 2 Woodies on this list. You've got more. I've got more. We're not, and that's saying something. Yeah, because that means they're really good Woodies. For a wooden coaster to be on my top 10 list, it has to be really, really good. This one, it just feels like it's going to fly off the track on every turn, and it's not even the most intense wooden coaster I've been on. And fantastic night ride. It is an amazing night ride. Yeah. Coaster Mom, there's Thunderhead. Yeah, Coaster Mom. Thunderhead kind of wormed its way into our hearts. I can't really say that much more about Thunderhead, save for the fact that it just feels like it's the El Toro of Tennessee. It's just like a bucking. It's not as tall, and it's not as steep, and not as problematic. I don't think. But it's true. It doesn't actually fly off the track, but it does feel like it's flying off the track at every turn. And it was one when we got off the ride, we were like,
wow, that might be the best ride all day.
And I think we definitely went back and did it at least one more time because that was super duper fun. We just started, Mitch. You know us.
We talked
forever about theme park news.
Someone else answered the numbers for him, but we're about to move to 8.
We're just getting started.
Extended queues are not for me.
Thankfully, we didn't have to wait that long for Thunderhead.
We owe Dollywood another visit, but it's not going to happen anytime soon.
Yeah.
So, number 8. Your number 8.
My number 8. Everyone should
have expected this to be on her list somewhere.
This is Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure,
which we tend
fondly
to just call
known as Hagrid's in Universal Islands of Adventure. Yes, I know it's probably no one else's top 10, but I had to pay homage to one of, I think, the best themed coasters in the world. I just looking like objectively, it's got, great launches. It's very smooth, obviously very well themed. It's got a drop track element for a little more, je ne sais quoi. And it's a nice long ride too. Even though queues can get pretty long when it's operating smoothly, it does go pretty fast. And it's got a fantastic queue. Universal does an excellent job with their queue line. So even if you are waiting in line, at least there's stuff to look at. And a lot of it is indoors, which is nice for those hot, humid Florida days. So it is one of my favorite rides. If it will make an appearance again in our favorite themed coasters live stream, absolutely. But I recognize that it is not the be all and end all of all coasters ever, but it is one that's very special.
Mitch says it's in his top 5, so that's saying something.
I had to be very distance yourself from the IP and from
Mitch. Since you're on, I would ask, do you characterize yourself as a coaster enthusiast? Because I feel like you've been on a lot of roller coasters, but also you don't prioritize them.
Inquiring minds want to know.
Inquiring minds. This is just a question for the audience.
I mean, would you call yourself a coaster enthusiast?
I would, because we collect coaster credits and we know we do go out of our way for the roller coasters.
But we're not doing coasters.
I will get on
over.
Listen, I got on Spinning Parrot at the island in Pigeon Forge. I didn't have to do that. I wanted to do that because of the coaster credit. I literally paid $15 for this dumbest little kiddie coaster credit, because that's what a coaster enthusiast does. Now, am I the best coaster enthusiast? No. We have 166 credits between us, and we count them mostly together because we've been on all the same coasters for the most part. But
at least in the last 5
I was just curious because Mitch seems to imply he has a top 5, maybe a top 10. I'm just curious what they are. Feel free to count along with us, Mitch. My number, what are we on, 8?
Yeah.
8. Yeah. My number 8 is Wildcat's Revenge at Hershey Park, which I feel like is probably not surprising to many people. Wildcat's Revenge is an RMC, Rocky Mountain Construction, refurb hybridization of the former Wildcat, which was a god-awful roller coaster. It didn't start out that way, but after decades of being worn down, wooden coasters just start to be a little rougher. So Wildcat was torn halfway down and rebuilt from what was left to be Wildcat's Revenge. It is by far the best ride in the park. And I think most people see that as maybe subjective, but can definitely appreciate the argument for it now. Whereas not that long ago, it would have been a toss-up between Skyrush and Candemonium for most people. Now it's for sure Wildcat's Revenge for the overwhelming majority. It is a wild ride. It is not the wildest ride we've ever been on, but it is one that I think we try to do every time when unless we just come from the Chocolatier and we're feeling super heavy.
Well, I mean, Wildcat's Revenge is not on my top 10, but it honestly, you talk to me next week and it might be, it's because we are, we'll make some more visits to Hershey over this season. But that's the thing is sometimes after a really good ride, on one ride, you're like, wow, it's going so smooth today. It's now in my, my top 5 or whatever. Yeah, these are the water dummies.
These are promotional
Those
photos.
are hoodie wearing water dummies.
Listen, if you want good roller coaster photography, follow the Instagrammers like Andre from Drills and Magic. But those photos do not come up in Google when you do a search for live stream photos. So I got what I got.
But it's definitely a fantastic ride. Definitely my number 1 at Hershey Park now.
It is. I can't remember what records it broke. I think it was tied for like the longest stall or half roll stall. It was
the longest underflip.
Underflip. That's what it was. The longest underflip. Every coaster's got to break a record, or else is it even a coaster?
It did win awards.
So that's because the Fahrenheit test, even the Fahrenheit test dummies knew what they were getting into when they started going up the lift hill. Number 7 for Tim is Kingda Ka. Kingda Ka is also not on our list.
Kingda
Ka is again one of those novelty credits, but we can talk about it. Your number 7 though.
That's Twister.
It's Twister again.
Well, we've talked about Twister already. Knoebels, our favorite ride there.
But why is it your number 7?
Well, it's always a lot of fun. We have a blast every time. I don't think I've ever had a bad ride on Twister.
Same, I would say. I think
it's for a ride that's, operated and maintained by a small family run park. It's just excellent. There's wooden rides just as old as that at big name, Cedar Fair, Six Flags theme parks that don't get the love and care that Twister does. And I think it's a testament to Knoebels and how much they care for their park and for their customers.
I will also say of Twister and all the rides at Knoebels famously does not have a quick queue program because they are, as Katie said, a small family run park. But they are becoming more and more, I think, casually so, a destination park. People who plan theme park road trips will make a point of going to Knoebels because they have an all-around great park. It has dark rides, it has roller coasters, it has flat rides, it has water rides, it has pretty much everything you could ever want.
Pretty good food.
And really good food as compared to some actual amusement parks. But of Twister specifically, the line does get a little bit longer because it has a lower yield per... There's sometimes have 3 trains on the tracks. Maximum for an off day would be 2. And the queue can get backed up. So if you're going to experience Twister for the first time, I would say try to go for a Sunday that's not Easter or a holiday. And if not, you can try to go during the week when they have the summer camp.
I think it gets better as the parks Knoebels typically closes by 8 p.m. I think it's not about
definitely. It's dusk. Twister's a decent night ride too, but it's
or a dusk sunset kind of ride. Fantastic.
Yeah.
I don't love all Woodies. Some of them really shake me up. This one,
I would say Twister definitely shakes me up, but in a fun way, not in I
need some ibuprofen way.
We're on to
that's your 7.
That's my 7. Yeah.
Just follow Tim. Tim says number 7. He'll tell us when we go to the next number.
I can't count. So Velocicoaster is my number 7, and I didn't do much of a drum roll there, but a lot of people have Velocicoaster as their number 1. I do not feel like this is a justifiable number 1, having been on all the coasters we've been on. Even for people who have been to Cedar Point, I think a lot of people would put most of the Steel Vengeance, Valraven, even Gatekeeper style rides above Velocicoaster. But in the state of Florida, Velocicoaster is one of the best roller coasters that exist. It is, as Hagrid's, the full and complete package. It is theming, it is speed, it is a multiple launch coaster. It has a top hat that is the tallest of the park. And when it was being built, we knew it was going to be cool. When we actually got on it, it blew our minds. The only reason this is a little bit lower on my list is A, because we've experienced some really incredible roller coasters and there wasn't enough room. But B, because it has started to wear a little bit. It is not as smooth as it was when we rode it in 2020 and 2021. It is not as smooth as it was, or
Yeah.
2021 rather. It wasn't open in 2020. Was not as smooth as it used to be. Trash because it was not smooth, or because that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't know if it needs to go down for like a refurb.
It is the most popular ride at Islands of Adventure.
Yeah, and I know
so it is.
I know it.
Ooh, wait! This is the one time in the history of ever on this particular subject where I am going to take a different position. I thoroughly enjoyed back row on this one. That was a fun back row ride, an excellent back row night ride.
Yeah.
However, most cases, and certainly there's justification for riding front row. I just really like front row rides most of the time.
Yeah.
But this one was a really good back row night ride too.
Yeah, and I think that was part of the problem, was like it was like smooth front or back row, and now it's like it's a little bit, as I think Vanessa said, a little bit janky. And that's sad for a ride that is not even 5 years old yet.
But you got to figure, and I made this case to Katie too when she said this, you're not talking about a ride that goes down seasonally for maintenance, or that even is in an area where it doesn't need to be maintained as often. You're talking about a ride that is operating 24/7.
Oh, yeah.
Well, not 24/7, but 7 days a week, every week, all the time in Florida, where the hurricanes are getting progressively worse. And where even last year, Universal got hit so hard with a tornado that Jurassic Park got a hole punched in the side of its show building.
A tornado?
It was either a tornado or it was a water spout or something. Oh. There were pictures.
Oh.
It formed over Epcot, but it actually did damage.
Interesting.
So that's part of the reason why I think, and also it just gets constant wear.
Yeah, I think it probably is due for a more longer downtime.
But if you're going to put Velocicoaster down, you have to be absolutely sure that Hagrid stays open, or a lot of people are going to be very disappointed with their trip.
That is the breaks. If you want rides to be there in 5 years,
but
sometimes
if you have
they gotta go down.
3 favorite coasters at Universal, then you're in luck. We've been so many times.
I mean,
they
took the Hulk down for a whole retracking.
They did.
And it's better.
It's better. It's still not good. Number 6. For you may not be able to tell from the picture. This is Thunderhead.
Oh, okay. I was like, this ride I
just felt like there was too many photos in a row of roller coasters doing the same turn. I was like, I'm just gonna get a little bit of a calmer picture.
Back to Thunderhead at Dollywood. I laughed so hard on this ride when we did it. I had a ton of fun. Just all around good memories. And again, one of the Woodies that surprised me. I always get on a Woody expecting to feel like I'm going to need to take like 3 ibuprofen and drink 2 bottles of water. But this one, it wasn't like that. I just had so much fun. This is the one of the Woodies where you go back through.
I was literally just about to mention.
Yeah. So if you've never been on Thunderhead, there is
that ever went back through the station.
Yeah, there is a part where it goes back through the station, like elevated. So you get, while you're in the queue, you get to listen and watch as people go by, and
over your head.
It's just kind of an extra element that, not, as we later found out, not unique to Thunderhead, but definitely a more unique element of a Woody or a coaster in general. So just good memories, fun ride, great night ride again. All good things.
I agree.
Oh, it's our number one.
It's our number one.
We haven't done Big Bear. Don't know if that one's better.
But I honestly don't see Big Bear. We've done every other coaster at Dollywood. We haven't done Lightning Rod post Lift Hill update, but
I don't think the Lift Hill is going to change it.
No, I don't think it's gonna dramatically impact.
Except for the fact that maybe it won't be broken as much, which is a good thing.
My number 6 is different.
It is different.
It's different. Mine is all the way across the world from yours. So this, and many people will not know this one because it is not an American roller coaster. We have been to exactly 2 non-domestic theme parks, Efteling and Toverland, both in the Netherlands. This one is Phoenix at Toverland. And as you can see, it is a favorite amongst this crowd. We went on Phoenix. We were actually at Toverland for 2 days. We went on Phoenix, I think, 4 times because we did 2 per day. And it was a long queue for 2 of those 4 times, and it was so worth doing. So worth doing. I will leave some things for you to explain because I'm fairly certain that Phoenix is in your top 10 as well.
It's high. It's higher.
It's higher in your top 10. But it is a wing coaster that traverses the entire land of Avalon, which is their mythical, like, dragon-themed land. It is very, very well themed throughout the queue. It also has theming on the ride itself, including a dark ride show scene that takes you off. And then from the moment you enter the outside area, it is pretty much just a standard wing coaster experience. But it's so smooth, and the ride itself is so dynamic. It swerves around like a windmill, which is really, really cool. If you haven't seen our vlog from Toverland, I highly recommend you check that one out. It's one of our favorites that we've ever done, and it was honestly one of our favorite theme park days.
You are allowed to film on ride.
Yes, you have to have a certain kind of harness, but
we do have on ride footage of us enjoying the ride, as well as POVs on our channel. Well, one POV of Phoenix, I think. So
I'm thinking about putting up another one. Didn't get enough traction for my liking.
Yeah.
It's a really, really good ride. Number 5. Big Bear is fun, but not better.
I trust you, Coaster Mom.
I agree.
You have good sense.
I'm sure I agree.
That's Velocicoaster.
That's your Velocicoaster.
I did put Velocicoaster as my 5. And
are you
now
reevaluating?
I've talked so much about how much I like Thunderhead and Twister. I may have oversold Velocicoaster. I think I was focused so much on the theming for this one. But
well, in fairness, one thing that I forgot to mention is the onboard audio for Velocicoaster. They do have speakers that you can see in that picture right behind your head.
I do like the audio. I like the launch show scene. I like the queue. The sights from the top of the top.
Wildcat Revenge made it onto Tim's list.
Yeah. I do think that if I ride it again, next time I ride it, if it's still janky, it's gonna go down on my it's gonna be kicked out of top 5. I do think it was a fantastic addition to, the Jurassic Park area at Islands of Adventure, and it was certainly worth the wait. I still love the Heartline roll over the.
We call that a Mosasaurus roll.
Or Mosasaurus, whatever it is. I had some fantastic elements. So I think that's what I was thinking of. Like it's a good coaster package.
It is a good coaster. It's still a good coaster package.
But part of my enjoyment of a coaster is the smoothness, and it's losing a little bit of that smoothness, unfortunately.
I will say it also does have headlights at night rides.
Oh,
so it's
night ride on it's fun to watch.
I honestly feel like this in the Jurassic Park area, this is the reason to go to the Jurassic Park area at night. Because Jurassic Park, the ride, the river adventure after dark is terrifying. I never want to do it again.
Awesome.
Never again. But the Velocicoaster is an amazing night ride, which makes it visiting the land worth it for that alone. My number 5,
Haggers,
is surprisingly higher on my list than yours.
I was trying to not take theming into account too much.
I'm taking theming into account, but I'm not basing this solely on theming. I do want to talk about some of the things that Katie did not talk about. The queue is amazing. Yes, theming is immaculate throughout the entire ride. There is no roller coaster probably. I almost said the world. I'm going to say the country, though. There is really no roller coaster that comes to mind that is better themed or more immersive than Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure. However, taking theming into the corner and just putting it as like full marks for that, what else does it have going on? It is fast. It is multiple launch. It is fun and it's balanced. It's a family coaster, so everyone can experience it and ride it. It is consistently smooth after all these many years. It does have a lot of technical components, so it does go down a lot, and not everything is working every time. But when you get a perfect ride on Hagrid's, it is a perfect ride for any given day. Like, it will be your number 1 ride or attraction for that day. There's animatronics throughout. It does slow at different points to have like part of the story told to you. It does have a spike and a reverse portion. I don't want to spoil this for anyone who's never been on it. So if you're listening right now and you've never been on a Hagrid's, cover your ears.
The other thing you're about to say.
The drop track?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, I didn't know you mentioned that. I thought you did mention it. Okay, well, Katie already ruined it.
I already ruined it. It's fine.
Ruined. But it is a all-around coaster package that I think is good for everyone. And honestly, we take a lot of people who struggle with roller coasters and don't like the big drops or whatever on Hagrid's, and they have a blast. So it is a roller coaster for everyone, and as everyone's roller coaster, it definitely had to be a number 5.
I accept your argument.
Number 4. Tim, feel free to drop number 4 in the chat. We're all waiting with bated breath. Your number 4, can you tell what it is? It's Mako.
It's Mako. Okay, I was like, that's a weird angle.
It is. If it looks eerily similar to Fury 325, there's a reason for that.
Well, it's a B&M Hyper, not a Giga.
Yes.
But
the trains are identical.
The comfy seats are identical.
Copperhead Strike from Tim.
Mako.
I like Copperhead Strike.
I did enjoy that ride. Mako is a B&M Hyper at SeaWorld Orlando. It was throwback, our 100th coaster credit that we got, which was super duper fun. It is smooth. It's got a great layout. It's got fantastic views of the park and surrounding Orlando area. Again, another fantastic night ride.
We've done back, mid, and front.
I think we've done. We haven't.
Positions.
We've done and always enjoyed
all
it.
The positions. We've done 3 of the positions, but we've done the 3 that matter.
It was, I think, our 3rd hyper that we ever did, and definitely became our favorite.
We've done other hypers since,
and we've done other hypers since, but it's kind of the standard, I think, for hyper coasters, at least in this part of the world where we've traveled. We didn't do any hypers in the Europe or anything like that. So yeah, love this ride. Holds a special place. It's always a must-do at SeaWorld, and when we go for Hello Scream, it's usually a very short wait, which is awesome.
Not that it matters, because we are those people who always buy quick queue when we go to SeaWorld, since we're only there for a limited time, usually one day. We tend to just want to walk on everything. So we jump the line, and then we jump to front row or back row, and sometimes multiple times a day. I will say SeaWorld is worth the quick queue. Universal depends on the day.
Ugh, $210.
Mine is Troy.
Oh yeah, Troy.
Do you know I paid $13 for this image? Because
what?
I was like, I just wanted to find a good image of Troy, and there weren't any.
I didn't know.
Had to buy it from like a stock image site.
Couldn't you just have taken like a screenshot from one of our POVs or something?
No, it didn't look very good. I tried that. You guys just had to know what
wow, the sacrifices
ride Troy. I was willing to put $13 into advocating for Troy.
You can't even tell that it's Troy.
I can tell.
Okay, you can see the front of the
It's got Troy on the cover.
Okay, it's got Troy on the cover.
Troy, for those of you who are wondering what the heck we're talking about, is a wooden coaster located in Toverland in Zevenum, the Netherlands. So it was towards the end of our day, to be honest with you. It's right on the outskirts of the park, but if you do the park in a circle, you wind up doing it last, because you either have to start with Troy and work your way around the other way, and you have to go through a bunch of indoor sections, which are not as exciting towards the beginning of the day, or you work your way from Avalon backwards and you do a couple rides on Phoenix first. That's what we did. And we wound up doing Troy maybe like towards the back, maybe 2 hours of our time in Toverland.
Yeah.
It was hands down the most incredible wooden coaster I have ever been on. And let me tell you a very, very quick anecdote about our time on Troy. You won't be able to tell from this picture, or really any others, how steep Troy is. When we got, you can see it in our POV, we do have a POV out from Troy, but when we got to the top of the hill, and we're literally, when we do POVs, we try to be a little bit quieter, because we don't know if this might be the only chance we get to do a POV. We figure we can always record VO over top of it if we need to for the vlog, but we're trying to be quiet. And we get to the top of the hill. We're in the front row, and Katie goes,
yeah, I did
like,
audibly
it's
gasp.
involuntary. Like there was a gasp in the POV because she saw like she's leaning over the side or the front row, and she sees it's not a vertical drop. It's not a 90-degree angle.
But it's steep, and it goes at a curve.
It's so steep for a wooden coaster. It was borderline steeper than El Toro. I cannot prove that, but it felt that way.
But the thing is, like, El Toro goes down.
Yes.
This was like
it was a curve.
It was a curve.
It's similar in make to the Lightning Race.
It reminded me of in Twisted Timbers where you start out with a roll. I was like, are we rolling? That's why I gasped.
It's rare, almost impossible to find a wooden coaster that goes upside down. But this one does not. It just feels like it's about to at certain times.
I did enjoy Troy, but it honestly, compared to like the other Woodies I have, Thunderhead and Twister, this one literally took my breath away. The first time we rode it, the second time I was a little more used to it, but the first time I was like, I don't know if I like that.
It's still such a good ride. Good. It is such an incredible wooden coaster.
I felt like my face was gonna melt off.
I have literally missed this ride since.
I definitely want to do it again.
It's been like 8 months, and I think about it all the time.
I feel like
I want to get back on Troy.
We would greet each other like old friends instead of me being like.
I'll always remember the gas, though. That was a magical moment.
I was trying so hard
in the land of magic. Number 3.
Pick number 3, my lord.
Pick number 3, my lord.
That's Phoenix.
That's Phoenix, believe it or not. Katie's
I
number 3.
really, really liked Phoenix at Toverland. It had, on top of fantastic theming, it was so smooth, so fun. The wing, it is like the standard like wing seats, your feet are dangling, but it's got that kind of what I would describe as an actual comfort collar where like the kind of rubber thing comes down on your chest and you feel very cozy.
It's
and
a
you
plate.
have
it's
like a rubber plate.
It's not rubber straps that flap around.
It's just like at
the
Wild Eagle at Dollywood has the same. And you have
which is the same kind of coaster.
Yeah, you have the option to like hold onto the bars above you or put your hands up. It's just very cozy. The setting is so beautiful. The helix around the like tower where the Dragonflight ride is. It's also very, very like the queue is very reminiscent of like original Dueling Dragons with the fire and ice elements because the Phoenix is the fire and this is obviously like the ice enemy or whatnot that appears right before.
And this dragon does drool on you as you go through too. So there's an element of I wouldn't say water attraction, but it like drips on you.
Yeah, it does drip on you a little bit. And I really enjoyed it. I would love to do this ride again. It's so smooth, so fun. To me, like I think what's more important to me than like did it take my breath away is like fun. And if I get off a ride just like smiling and that was fun, then that's going to be in my top 3.
We romanticize our trip to the Netherlands all the time. We only went to 2 parks there. And when we booked it, our agent was actually asking us, are you positive you want to spend 2 days at Toverland? Is there really that much to do? And what we found after spending 1 day there and then a full day there the following day, because it was a little bit weather stricken the previous day, was we probably should have given it 3.
Yeah.
You can do everything in 1 day if you have a good day, but if you want to pace it out,
you can do
and if you want
all
to do
the coaster
rides,
credits in 1 day, but it's really beautiful.
It is one of my favorite.
It's got some great theming. You'll miss out on like some of the charm of the park if you just rush through it. So
and it's expanding currently.
Yep.
It's another expansion. You
look at like a map and you're like, wow, all this like woods behind it here. They could double the size of this park, and it's not a small park.
And then they tell you we're doing that.
And they do Halloween stuff too.
Then they do Halloween.
They do spooky season things.
My number 3 is Mako, which Katie has already talked about at length. I don't feel the need to go into too much more detail. If you've never experienced this ride, it is one you absolutely must do. The reason it is my number 3 is because in contrast to what I feel the experience on Fury 325 is, this one actually does feel like flying. You feel like you are a bird peaking and then diving down to catch a fish, because you do run right along the lake that they've carved out. So it's incredibly scenic. It's built to last too. It's one of those coasters that's really well weathered, and it's smooth to this day, as Katie said as well. So Mako is the complete package. It also does have some theming on it.
It does.
Most of the theming is in the queue and the station platform, but
Mako has music up the
lift hill, and then not anymore.
Yeah, I wish they would have done music throughout the whole ride. It would have been awesome.
Really, really difficult to do that on the hypercoaster. I'm gonna give them a pass.
Nah, let's do it.
Let's do it. Whatever.
Close it for 6 months and put speakers on it.
My number 3 is probably always going to be Mako. I feel like that's a good safe spot for it. What's number 2?
Number 2.
Number 2.
Oh, this is where we're the same.
This is where we're the same.
I told you that we come together in the end.
When we get to number 1 and number 2, our answers were immediately identical.
You recognize this ride? From Busch Gardens, Williamsburg. Aha! Iron Gwazi. We haven't talked about Iron Gwazi. Are we going to talk about Iron Gwazi?
We have not talked about Iron Gwazi.
I don't know if we're going to talk about
Iron Gwazi is a great ride.
I don't know if we're going to talk about them. This, however,
is Griffin.
Is the mythical Griffin.
Of flying, it does feel like flying.
I mean, it's both our top 2s.
It is the number 1 attraction for me at Busch Gardens Williamsburg.
Yeah.
Hands down. And if it's open, we're going on it. That's a given.
This is the ride.
Don't care how cold it is.
That I didn't know I would love dive coasters, and then this ride taught me that I love dive coasters.
But this was our first dive coaster, and it remains the best.
We've only done 3.
We've done 3. We're about to do 4 when Iron Menace opens at Dorney Park this year.
Yeah.
And as much as I love great theming, and I do love all dive coasters, they're all terrific so far that we've experienced. This is the tallest, the fastest, and the best layout of the dive coasters that we've done. It has not yet been dethroned.
I love this ride. I love how smooth it is, how fun it is, how I'm not
going to characterize it as smooth, but I would it's definitely not rough. It's more of like, it's an intense experience, but it's not intense because it's rattling you all around or flipping you or whatever. It's just powerful.
Yeah.
It's a powerful ride. And it does feel like you're being strapped to the back of an eagle that's doing dives and turns, and not like you're chained to the front of a Comet like Skyrush 1.0.
Yeah. And Busch Gardens does a great job still maintaining a lot of the natural beauty of the area. Like you can see, like there's trees grown up around. Like they didn't just pave paradise to put up a parking lot, as the song says. They really try to maintain and keep some of the natural landscaping that's there. And I think Griffin's a good example of that as well. If anyone follows the Busch Gardens Instagram page, they actually posted a reel on April 1st that was like, oh, we're gonna vary the time that you wait to drop. It could be anywhere from 24 seconds to 24 hours. And it gave me a big chuckle because I was like, well, I could think of worse ways to spend a day.
Exactly. I was like, I'm not gonna lie. If that was a real thing,
can you imagine like 24 hours and then you drop, like you'd be like asleep or whatever?
Can you imagine waiting in the queue for 24 hours while the previous train
that's true.
dispatches?
Oh my god!
If you get on and you're on and it hangs there for 15 minutes, and it's like at the exact moment that you're like, gosh, this has been a really long. Which happens to us on drop towers all the time.
Yeah.
One more thing I will say about Griffin is the singular drawback of this attraction in the location that it's in is that Busch Gardens is chronically subjected to bees' nests.
Yes.
And they constantly, during the summer months in particular, they often have to close Griffin to clear out bees at the top of the hotel.
Yeah, it's a bummer.
But I would still take this ride over any other in the park if I had the option.
Love that ride. What's
We're
number
on to 1? Dun, dun, dun.
It's Iron Gwazi.
I have a feeling most people knew this was going to be.
Yeah.
This is our absolute number 1 coaster credit so far. And we've done, again, 166 coasters all over the world at this point. Tim says Golden Steel Vengeance, which I saw coming a mile away.
Yep.
Same manufacturer, same style of build, different type of lift hill and drop, different angle. Steel Vengeance is at Cedar Point for those of you who do not know, and it is also manufactured by Rocky Mountain Construction. So this experience I expect will be very similar. But the thing that I love about Iron Gwazi is that it never stops. It just keeps throwing you it does feel time. Like a bucking bronco, but it's like a fast bucking bronco that like never slows down. It somehow, despite being intense, does not really feel rough to me.
No.
Even after all these years.
I mean, I
year and a half, give or take. It's only
felt more like scared getting off of like Troy than I did getting off of.
And after I literally just said the opposite. Color. Color.
I was wondering. I was like, what did you say about the color?
I was like, no, but it's. I was saying how smooth it was, despite how long it's been out. But no, the color I feel like has faded a little bit, but it doesn't matter.
They should give it a touch up every once
in a while. You know what they should do? Power wash it.
I don't think that's gonna make the color come back.
Power washing is the solution to everything.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Iron Gwazi, I think, is the complete package.
I was trying to think of like what my top ride is, and I was like, it's still really good. We've been on it many times now, thankfully, and it's a lot of fun.
If you want to take it down to studs, it's just a lot of fun. It is, if you're talking about,
but not too scary.
The specific.
I don't think it's scary.
Anyone who looks at that lift hill and is not a big time coaster person is going to be like,
scared of big drops.
I'm not either. See, for me, and part of what makes this list so subjective is that for me, speed and that first drop are what make a coaster for me.
Or launch,
but
because not everyone.
In a lot of, but that's why Storm Runner is a little. I mean, it used to be in my top 10. Hershey Park Storm Runner, which is a multi-launch intimate or singular launch intimate, hydraulic launch. It's more so the feeling of being free and not being like bumpity 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 bumpity. Like that's not fun for me. Iron Gwazi has a lot of buck and it throws you one way and the other way, but it never feels rough. It always feels intense and similar to Griffin. I would describe it as being powerful. It also just has all around the best drop of any roller coaster I've ever been on. Having said that, Steel Vengeance's drop is expected to be much similar, so I'm excited to do that one day. It's just Cedar Point keeps dropping lower and lower on our to-do list because it's just far enough away that if we're going to go that far, we may as well go a little further. So we keep shooting past it in one direction or another and not actually go there. I do have some thoughts about when we could make a Cedar Point trip work.
Yeah.
I think we've talked about it.
We'll get there eventually.
We will get there eventually. But in the meantime.
I think Carowinds may have taken out a little bit of our enthusiasm for
I'm not going to lie.
Cedar Point too.
Carowinds was talked up as being one of the best Cedar Fair parks. And it is. It's one of the 3 flagships if you don't count Knott's Berry Farm, which is a partial ownership by a family, the Knott's family. It is one of the flagship parks, and I feel like Carowinds was a little bit of a letdown in the sense of the coaster lineup was diverse but was not incredible. For all of the problems we have with some of the local smaller parks, like Hershey Park has an incredible coaster lineup. It really does. It has 15 now, technically, 15 coasters if you count the White Cap Racer or whatever. It does have it has like a B&M suspended. It has 2 hypers. It has an RMC. It's missing a dive, and it desperately needs one.
That would
but
be so cool.
It does, like every ride at Hershey Park, there's not a single ride where I'm like, ugh, awful. Like no.
Fahrenheit?
No, Fahrenheit's not an awful ride. It's just one that I don't really care for.
I
don't like vertical lift
hill. To do is to walk past Fahrenheit and go, ugh.
Yeah, but not because it's a bad ride, just because it's not my kind of ride. I would say, and Busch Gardens Tampa is one of those too, just to bring it all back to Iron Gwazi. Iron Gwazi was the reason we first visited Busch Gardens Tampa, but we found so many other coasters there that were super, super fun. None of them made our top 10, but they're all fun that we would do again. Even Montu, which was a little bit more intense.
I don't hate on Montu. It just doesn't beat Great Bear and Alpengeist for me.
Yeah, it's too compact to be the kind of experience we're looking for.
Anyway,
let's wrap it up. Chad and Vanessa are always trying to get us to Cedar Point.
Oh, you guys are going in June? That's awesome.
They've been multiple times. We've never been once. They think this is a travesty. Is it?
I mean, I feel like someone's probably keeping track of how many times we've been like,
good night, Tim.
To Cedar Point. Bye, Tim. Thanks for playing. You have a great top 10. Coasters.
All right. Let's bump over to the creator spotlight. Yep. I tried to focus specifically on theme park people that I've been following recently that have just... I have a positive approach to theme parks. It's not all about the coaster listing or what kind of ride is good. Just like we were kind of like going through and picking out like, this isn't maybe our favorite ride, but it is one of the better rides. These people do the same thing. Exploring.uor is, that's Joe, who has her own kind of universal branded content. She has been invited, however, recently to Nickelodeon Universe in the Mall of America.
Neat.
So that's pretty cool.
That's not close to Florida.
No, it's not. So she's starting to branch out into other theme park
Good
content.
For you.
And I thought it was really, really cool. She is also, there's 2 people on this list that have kids, and her kids are budding both coaster enthusiasts too. So it's really cool to watch things through a parent's eyes, like, oh, that's number 40. So anyway, if you're interested in Universal content, but also in theme parks as a whole, I would highly recommend following Joe at exploring.uor. Hallowed Thrills is actually a team of people that we have kind of just missed again and again and again at Field of Screams and other haunts in the area. Their channel, a lot like ours, is focused primarily on haunts, but also has a minor in theme parks. We're more of a 50-50 split depending on the time of year, but we're leaning headfirst into haunts if you haven't noticed. So there's a lot of synergy between us and this group. YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter are their primary socials. YouTube is where they do most of their work, and I believe they are on Dorney Park's media list. So if you're interested to see what's going on with Iron Menace, I guarantee you they will have the first news from that area. They will definitely be invited to PR Day. And then Catherine from Coaster Cat. Her handle is CoasterCat1112 on Instagram, which is mostly where she posts. She does have a YouTube channel as well. It's a little bit smaller. I would say Instagram is probably her primary. But she is currently traveling the country on a U.S. road trip for theme parks. So not unlike
travels, Cat.
Not unlike many of our friends in the theme park industry that do these road trips. We would love to do one someday. It's not in the cards for the next year or 2.
We may have spent a few hours theorizing a road trip this week.
Yeah, we may also have spent a little bit too much money on the rest of our travel plans for the next couple of years.
Oh, it wouldn't be happening anytime
It wouldn't be happening soon.
But we tried to map it out.
It is a dream, and it's a dream that I live vicariously through some of these events. So
if ever we can take a month off from our jobs, maybe we'll get it to happen.
And the only way that works is if we do it between jobs.
I said what I said.
All right, y'all. We're going to go ahead and close it out. But before we do, we talked a lot tonight about the Netherlands and how we romanticize our trip to
the Netherlands.
The Netherlands. I was hoping to find another word to make it less weird. Anyway, we're continuing our One Day At series, where we started talking about one day at Disneyland, one day at Hershey Park. Well, we've only been to Efteling for a total of 4 days, but I think we have a reasonably good idea of how we would want to spend a single day there if we only had one. So we're excited to talk about Efteling again because it's been too long. And to be perfectly 100% honest with you, we may already have plans to revisit. I can't tell you when, I can't tell you what it's going to look like, but I can tell you that it will not be our last time at the Dutch Disneyland.
Disneyland is Dutch Efteling.
Ooh! And on that note, Thank you guys so much for joining us. Those of you who stuck it out to the end, I hope we haven't disgraced you with our rankings. Until next time, I've been Tim.
I'm Katie.
And every night,
a new adventure.
And we will see you again soon. Bye!